Hey all, and welcome to another exciting episode of Coach's Corner. I am Adam Gahabe of Focal Point Business Coaching of Cary, and with me, as always, is Garth. Wait, no, just kidding. That's Mike Lamb, Focal Point Business Coaching of Utah.
Hey
Party
Wayne.
on! Now we're really showing our age. But anyway, guys, thank you for joining us once again. As you all know, or if you don't for first time listening, let me explain. This is a weekly podcast where Mike and I talk about high-level business topics that are relevant to you and everyone else. So, Mike, I figured we'd just jump right in because, well, why not? And I have a really, really fun, I guess, topic, question, answer, all those fun things lined up. And it's something that I've been talking about a lot. I think you and I spoke about it a bit last week, but it's been popping up so much that I just figured, well, let's make an episode about it. And basically, what I want to talk about here is reinvention. We all know as we look through Sigmoid's curve and any of the other principles that you and I talk about, that as any business starts their growth phase and they start their rapid ascension without reinvention, they'll always start the decline. And reinvention's important for all of us. And every business is going to reinvent itself numerous times as it matures. And, one of the things that I've been talking about a ton this week is I've been trying to let clients know that we're kind of at a point of reinvention for everyone. And without getting too much details out there, let me just ask this. Mike, how well do you think people know their ideal clients?
Um, Not that well. Not as well as they'd like to. Is
Okay.
not as well as we would like them to as a business coach. Is that
I think that's
is
an
that a good
excellent
way?
answer. I think that's an excellent answer. So let me ask this a different way. Um, if they do know their ideal clients and they have demographics, personas, avatars for each and every one, and they have their use cases for how to reach them, how to market them, how to speak to them, where they live, eat, sleep, breathe, etc. If they've done that one time within the last year, is that enough?
Not enough in the last week.
Okay, perfect. See, you
Things are
just
changing so quickly right now
okay.
that
We're in agreement, my friend.
the
So,
mindset of our client today is different than I would say last Monday. Last
yeah.
Monday was fun day for a lot of people in the world. So
Whether you are in travel, auto repair, financial planning, business brokerage,
insurance, finance,
trades,
yeah, it's
I
all of
mean,
it.
doesn't matter. The fact is, what I've been advocating for through almost every conversation that I've had this week is for people to take a TV timeout and reevaluate their ideal client, their target, what they have for discretionary funds, and then making sure that each business owner I'm speaking with understands that the parameters are changing, right? And so I'd like to tie all this in under the premise and guise of reinvention because it's important for all. But I think this is a great time for you and I to just sit down and have a frank little chat about why it's important now. So I know
Yeah.
you're already aligned because you and I are seeing the same things, having the same chats. So how are you having these types of discussions with clients right now? And what are you kind of, I guess, screaming about?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm trying to not dive into politics and all of that,
Of
first of
course,
all, as a
of
coach,
course.
and to avoid that. But I'm trying to just say, hey, have you stopped and thought about this?
Mhm.
Because a lot of them are, at least my clients are right now just still in this is status quo. We've done this, and this is my client. I have some that are reinventing themselves right now,
Mhm.
actually. Um, but some that are waiting to see what happens. I guess, this is the bear and bull type situation. Some are bearish and they're waiting. I haven't talked to many that are bullish right now, you
Okay,
know.
so let's be specific. What about the environment that we're in right now? is
Oh,
making us want to talk about reinvention, reevaluation, looking at ideal clients. What are those factors that you're seeing that are causing us to not panic, but to try to get people prepared for the unknown? What are you seeing?
yeah. I'm seeing that people are being thoughtful about, okay, tariffs are happening.
Sure. What if, what
I
if,
don't know what that looks like.
okay, so what if, you said to a client and they say, well, I'm not impacted by tariffs.
I would say, no, you are definitely
Everyone is impacted. That's what I wanted to hear. Everyone is impacted.
everyone,
And it's not just tariffs,
good
right?
and bad.
It's not
Good.
just
And
tariffs.
I want to say it's good and bad, right?
There's a whole bunch of market uncertainty right now. You have a whole bunch of people that are, like you said, holding off on making decisions. So you've got some stagnation out there. We have, tariff shifting on every, what, 5, 10 minutes, 24 hours? I don't know. I can't keep up with it anymore. We have stock markets going up, down, left, right. You have those people that are going to have their level-headed playing field on and they're just going to let everything slide through. You have those that are making bold, dare I say, knee-jerk reaction decisions and pulling money and doing this. And so every time that happens, you have people that are going to hop on that and buy low, right? Um,
Yeah.
anyway, we've got a whole bunch of, economic
Right.
and climate factors that are out there right now that are basically just causing a whole lot of, I can't look into that crystal ball and figure out what it's going to be tomorrow, let alone a month. So, having said that, why is looking at who your client pool is, your client targets, and truly understanding that ideal client behavior, why is that so critical now?
Because you need to be marketing and preparing and planning for what's to come. And I know it's a crystal ball, but
Mhm.
there are certain things that it's pretty obvious. And we talked a little bit about it. Just a quick example. It's like the car industry right now is completely turned upside down, changing. So what's your typical buyer gonna do? Are they gonna go buy a new car or are they gonna take care of their car? Am I
I
gonna
know
go
what
buy?
I'm I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, me too. And actually, I speak to my auto mechanic that I actually work with and coach and
Hmm.
say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is the conversation I've had in my home with my wife about cars. What what are you seeing with your other clients? Because this is what I'm thinking.
Hmm.
And are you building a marketing plan for me?"
That's it. Bingo, right?
That because
That's
do you
it.
want to hear what I don't want to
Please.
get into it with whatever it is. But if I'm right now, I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? We're not buying new cars for 10, 15 years, and we need to take care of the ones we have
Yep. Yep.
because I just don't see the need to go buy something that's working again, rebuy what I have that works if I take care of it.
So I think that there's always the, cost to replace versus cost to buy new, right? And that's always an evaluation. You brought up the car industry. I think there are several other ones out there that we could come up as examples, but the reality is it doesn't matter. You have a lot of people right now that are in a holding pattern and not willing to spend large volumes of money, either because they just lost a whole bunch and it hasn't come back yet, or they just have a feeling about where things are right now within the market. So, what does that mean? That means that a lot of the businesses that you and I both work with have to sit there and revisit what products and services they're bringing into the market. Is this a good time if you are in the trades industry, for instance, or the home services? Is now a good time to really force and push the utilization and implementation if you don't already have one of something like a maintenance plan? Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Right? Because you're bringing a new product on, you have a new sales cycle, it's more cost effective, and you can really press and push on the importance of maintenance, right? You're not
I
trying to sell all new units. Let's say you're a local HVAC company. All right. Now we know that they're coming out with a new refrigerant next year, which is gonna kind of force people to kind of jump and do things now rather than wait until next year. So I get that it doesn't always work like that, but still, if you don't have a maintenance plan, now's the perfect time to be looking at something like that because people are going to want to try to extend the life of things that they've already paid for, they've already purchased.
I
They don't have any debt against, right? As
I
business
sat in a
owners,
meeting
we got to be
today.
thinking like this. Sorry, shoot.
No, I sat in a meeting today that there were 30 people in the room, and there was a plumber presenting, and his presentation was on maintenance of your water heater.
Sure.
And almost everyone was locked in
Yeah.
because they were all thinking, do I want to spend 1,500, 2,500, maybe even $4,000 to replace a water heater, or should I do the maintenance on my water heater today for $200
Hmm.
to have it drained, sediment removed? Why have I never even done this before rather than just waiting till it fails and throwing it out the door?
Yeah. I think a lot
Every
of
person
people,
in that room is locked in.
sure. I think a lot of people are going to start shifting their mindset there. And I think, once again, this is why I want to go back and reemphasize this. As owners, as people that are driving our businesses, right now is a great time for us to slow down, to speed up. And by that, really take that time to invest into who are your clients. What products and services are they comfortable purchasing now? Not last week, not last month, because since we're talking about reinvention, we have to make sure that that sales funnel, that sales pipeline, our marketing strategies, all those things are in lockstep and they're aligned. And I don't want people to wait another 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to start seeing the physical financial impact on end of month statements to be like, man, I should do something. So, anyone listening, consider yourself warned. Please, now
Yeah.
is the time to do this stuff.
Think about your
Right?
client, think about what they're buying, what they're not buying, and they need all, and we're talking about services right now, but people still need all of the business.
Yeah,
It
it
doesn't
doesn't
matter what you're
change.
doing. I'm a financial planner. Okay, I'm gonna be focused on making sure everybody feels good today, tomorrow. I'm gonna have to really lock down. I'm an insurance person. Okay, I need to focus
Oh,
on making sure I can do everything I can to lower their rates and
that is
contact
another great one.
and making sure I'm ahead of this. I mean, I you can just do this about every business, but we
Everyone.
need to know who they are, who I'm talking to, what their needs are going to be. And that conversation I had with my auto guy today, I hope he was listening. I didn't have that as a coach. We weren't sitting down in a coaching scenario,
Well, maybe
but it
he's
was,
listening, well, tomorrow.
yeah. Yeah, I hope so. But and we will be listening. He'll be listening when we meet again.
Yeah,
But it was a
fair.
very brief conversation. But I actually wanted to have that conversation with 3 or 4 people today at the meeting that I was at, because I think that first of all, there's two opportunities here. There's opportunity to um continue where we're at and keep our business going where it's at. We can also look at things and be, this is a time to reinvent and deliver to my clients like I've
Expansion.
never done before.
You know, we don't even have to go back very far. We can go back to the beginning of COVID, for instance, and you can look at those industries that really took off, right? Telecommunications, uh, web and Zoom conferences. There are those things that always take off when things get hard. Alcohol, booze, tobacco, those things tend to go up because, well, I mean, people need to find their vices, and that's going to happen. And I'm not saying that we're entering one of those phases, but what I am saying is we should look back through history just a couple years ago and let's piggyback and learn from those lessons that we saw then, right? Are we at the same stage? No, no, I'm not saying, Chicken Little, the sky's falling. Not where I'm going. But I'm saying now is a great time for us to sit down and reevaluate because whether or not your client has already changed or is in the process of changing, it doesn't matter if this is something that airs tomorrow, Mike, or it airs in 3 months. The premise is always going to be valid and always going to be true. Every quarter, I believe, maybe every 6 months, depends, but we should be evaluating who those clients are. Are their buying patterns shifting? Do we understand why those shifts are being made? And do we have the marketing and sales strategies to play counterpart with those buying cycles that we are seeing? And are we keeping up? Okay. That's all we're trying to do is keep up so that we're not reacting to the market and buying trends.
Yeah.
Just
You know,
saying.
for me, and I've experienced this twice in my career, and I think you probably have. There was the housing crisis of 2008, and then
Mhm.
COVID happened. The thing that I can say is if we are working and doing everything we can, we will get through it.
Mhm.
Um, and but we're also recreating and changing and evolving at the same time. And we talk about glaciers all the time as
Love it.
coaches,
Love it.
but I do too. It's we shouldn't wait for the client's dissatisfaction. We should wait till we're dissatisfied right now that we're not doing what we can.
I think that's an excellent point. And that's something that I think you and I are proactively trying to do now, which is have these same type of conversations with our clients very openly. And once again, this is not to create, angst, anxiety, fear, unrest. It's about preparation. You would not walk into a big, board meeting that you had on Monday unprepared. You would come off as being unprofessional. Heck, we just got done talking about preparation, right? And why that was important. This is no different. We are just trying to get people to be as prepared as possible because we know that what we're seeing, and we may work with several different industries, right? But I personally feel, and I'm sure you do as well, I feel responsible to share the trends that I'm seeing and to challenge my clients to start to look through a different lens from a different perspective. Take that new vantage point and let's reevaluate what we're seeing here because that's what we're here for. We're here to be that sounding board. We are here to challenge the status quo, right? Not necessarily give you advice, but to help you see that there's another way around. And I think that this is a perfect example on how we are doing that. More importantly, how you and I are being proactive in even trying to broaden that message and doing it here on this podcast. Instead of helping let's call it, I don't know, 20 or 25 clients that you and I both have, it's now we're trying to get this out because, gosh, we're seeing this everywhere,
Yeah.
right? I don't know.
I,
Fun little
I know,
conversation.
I know because, and you and I both know we need to do this right now. And that's why I enjoy being a coach because I've gone through it a few times
Yeah.
with these kind of turmoils. And
Yeah.
wherever you stand and however you stand, we all just are going to learn, reinvent, and those conversations, just having those conversations is where it starts, and that's what you and I are doing, and that's what I've been doing with most of my clients when I've been meeting with them is let's talk about that. Let's not worry about the future. Let's talk about today, what we're doing.
I've got a session right after this, and I know it's going to just be a continuation of this conversation. And it's simply because I think there's a lot of people that whenever I ask, hey, so do you know who your ideal clients are? If I do it in like a group setting, everyone's like, oh yeah, I do, I do, I do. Okay, well, how many of them do you have? Oh, well, one. One. Mike, I don't know about you, but I probably have 10 or 12 ideal clients, depending on the industry I am looking at, the time of year. You have different degrees of business leader, what have you, within each of those levels. you have to have different variations. You don't go in and pitch the same way. You're a part of BNI, right?
Yeah.
Great. Every week, you don't come in with the same 30-second elevator pitch. Hi, I'm Mike Lamb of Focal Point Business Coaching of Cary. We focus on X, Y, Z. No, right? Every week, it's you're trying to highlight something new that you want to showcase, some new benefit, some new value, some new objective that you help guide, teach, and handhold through that provides outcomes that clients value, right? That's no
Yeah,
different than what we're trying to do right now with everyone else and get them to see, let's start looking at all those different areas of value, right? Let's start to reinvent. Let's start to shift. That doesn't mean out with the old, but it means let's make sure that we're prepared and ready because out of reinvention comes opportunity. Opportunity. There's opportunity abundant right now if we're smart about being prepared and looking forward. I don't know.
agreed. And you highlighted that it's with BNI, it's wonderful that we can change our pitch or
Yeah,
whatever
it's
every
my playground.
you
I try new things.
yeah, try it every week. I don't want to be hearing about St. Patty's Day right now. And that's what you're hearing on TV with commercials probably.
Yeah.
We it's just we need to be going right now, preparing, changing our
Yeah.
messaging.
It's about being prepared. Know your audience. Um, know who you're targeting. You shouldn't just have one ideal client or one target persona. You need to have several. And for each and every one of those personas, where do they live? Where do they work? What are their buying habits? What are their buying cycles? What are they currently spending money on now? What are they reserved on now? And what are they not buying? Right? All kinds of these things. The better you know your people and you have that awareness or that clarity on who your target is, the better you can change how you market, how your message resonates. The focal point areas that you and I were just talking about that you and I play with on BNI every week, these are those changes in emphasis that we're shifting to, right?
Yeah. No, not everybody has this gift of having 10, 15 different salesmen or even three, get them hyper focused in what their markets
Hmm.
if they're throwing a broad scope or a broad brush on things, tell them to get into which one they need to be focused on and understand them and get you information on that individual market and hyper focus them into those. As a business owner, sometimes you're only focused on the whole business. But if you have salespeople, they need to be getting you that information now and they need to be
Well
changing.
said. Well
So
said. I mean, it's
work with
very
your
often we always think about the small business owner, the solopreneur, and we try to talk through that route because I mean that's us, right? We have to wear all of these given hats. But man, you just hit that so square. Um, the sales teams, it's a great time to have some sales meetings and to bring in all of your people and to talk about the strategy. What are the actual plays? Fear selling, probably not such a strong play right now, right? But it's like getting your people kind of conditioned to understand the changes that we're seeing in the market, having conversations about what changes we are seeing or the symptoms, the symptomality of those outcomes is changing their perceptions on how they want to sell, how they want to get their message to resonate, how they want to emphasize particular points. You said it prior when you were talking about the auto shop, and then I circle it back with a few other references around HVAC maintenance, right? Maintenance and focusing on the upkeep and health and well-being, whether it be, plumbers, like you said, talking about water heaters, whether it's roofers going up and making sure that you've got all of your joints and flashing, tarred and caulked. Doesn't matter, right? It's shifting the emphasis, knowing that people want to see more longevity in a world right now where everything is throwaway, right? Oh, I just bought a new cell phone. Well, guess what? You'll probably want a new one in less than 2 years. Why did they set their contracts for 2 years? Hello, it's like, but everything's throwaway, right? So
Yeah. And it
let's
might
look at
not
those
be.
big ticket items and let's switch to maintenance, or at
You,
least from a sales perspective.
yeah, and I only have two sets of ears, but we need to be hearing from everyone and we need to be meeting with our team and talking to them too. Like
Mhm.
I highlighted that with the sales team, but we have a lot of ears in our business. Feedback, feed me, give me everything. I need to hear it all.
We all do.
Good, bad, ugly, because we've got to use what we're hearing to improve and stay where we're at or be better.
You know what, Mike? On that note, I think we're going to go wrap this up.
Yeah.
So, guys, last thing that I can say, please, please reinvent, refocus, take that time to slow down, reflect, look in on how your business is operating, know what you need to change, know what you want to change, but reinvention's key, whether it's in good times or bad times. That's how you stay ahead of the curve. So, once again, folks, thank you all for tuning in each and every week. We greatly appreciate it. Mike and Adam signing off for another week. We'll catch you next week, guys.
Thanks.